There are still some, though, who doubt how much of a role climate change plays in generating more severe weather. David Doniger is not one of them. He says there is no question in his mind that it is a culprit. Doniger is the policy director of the Climate and Clean Air Program at the Natural Resources Defense Council. He says the time to act is now.
Climate change is changing the weather. It's making these storms stronger. It's loading them up with more rainfall. They come in and hit the islands from a higher starting point because the sea level is higher, and it makes them much more destructive. And we have more and more of this to look forward to.
Getting all these countries to agree to something is extraordinarily difficult, and you've got developed countries and developing countries, and they seem to be clashing about, well, it was okay for you to do this, and now you don't want us to. Where do we go from there, and how do you sort all of that out?
It's too late for finger pointing. We all live on the same small planet that's getting turned upside down by the pollution that we're together putting in the atmosphere. The developed countries, the developing countries, we have to find ways to use our energy much more cleanly than before.
Earlier this year, Khalid Malik was here in town and had just come out with this report, The Rise of the South, and kind of translating the figures. If you look at India and China and how the middle class is coming up, and now people who used to be on bicycles are now driving cars, you translate that to Vietnam and some of these other countries, and the numbers were staggering in terms of the type of pollution we can see. And in the report, and I want to get your thoughts on this, it says the cost of inaction will likely be high. The longer action is delayed, the higher the cost will be. This was in the report. I'm sure you feel the same way. So how do you kind of shake the policymakers and say, hey, the time is now?
Well, if a typhoon won't do it, words won't do it. So let's let nature impress upon the countries the importance of dealing with this. Things are happening. In the United States, President Obama has announced a climate change action plan, which involves standards for new vehicles that are already in place, and standards for power plants, which are being developed now, go into place in the next few years. Other countries have good things to report about steps they're taking. It's not a hopeless situation, but we need to put these things down on paper and commit to one another to do them, to follow through.
David Doniger, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.